The Nightmare Machine, or Apprehension Engine, is a musical instrument commissioned by composer Mark Koven. He was tired of the same old digital samples, which resulted in a lot of the sameness in horror movie scores. It has a single guitar string that you play with an E-bow, a primitive hurdy-gurdy, 4 steel rulers and rods that can be bowed, hit, and plucked, and so much more. He has started selling them, and one of the first people standing in line to buy one was Nine Inch Nails frontman Trent Reznor. Koven has used the Nightmare Machine in the movies The Witch and The Lighthouse. Reznor used his Apprehension Engine in the scores for Gone Girl and The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. Nightmares. Everyone has bad dreams. You're falling, somebody's chasing you, you're naked in public, or possibly all three at once. They're actually only called nightmares when a dream wakes you up. The term nightmare comes from night, obviously, and mare, which is an old word for a demon or goblin that torments you in your sleep. They often sit on your chest. What this seems to be describing is actually beyond a nightmare. It's called sleep paralysis. Sleep paralysis is a state during waking up or falling asleep in which a person is conscious but can't move their body at all. They often feel pressure on their chest, hear, feel, and see things, terrifying things, but can't react. The documentary The Nightmare talks to people with sleep paralysis, and it is as scary as any horror movie. A common theme is a shadow man or hat man that enters their bedrooms and sometimes whispers in their ear. Nightmares. The video game series Little Nightmares is such a good horror series because it brings out your inner child and then scares the bejesus out of them. The very proportions of the game represent a child's perspective, with the character so small and the environment so large and intimidating. It's like when you go back to your primary school and everything seems so small, but you remember it being huge. The bosses also play on your childhood fears, in particular the teacher. The character turns her head and you are instantly transported back to your class, having just been caught chewing gum or talking. To ensure the teacher was extra scary, they modeled her off Nurse Ratched from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and the Japanese demon Rokarokubi, which has a neck that can stretch super far. Even the title, Little Nightmares, is a name parents call their misbehaving children. Nightmares. There has not been a Nightmare on Elm Street movie in over 15 years, and that one stunk. The franchise is mired down in rights battle. However, if you're jonesing for more Freddy, there are lots of other options. When the original came out, it was an instant commercial success, so everybody and their mother ripped it off. See if you can tell if these scenes are from the OG Nightmare or are ripoffs. Cooney Murda, a bad Indian ripoff. That one actually is a Nightmare on Elm Street. This is Bad Dreams, which is another name for nightmares. Keschke I Freddy, actually a German TV show. A Nightmare on Elm Street. Satan's Bed, an Indonesian ripoff. Another Indian clone, Mahakal. Another one actually from A Nightmare on Elm Street. And one last Cooney Murda. Come on guys, that one's not even hitting the ceiling. Nightmares. Georges Méliès was one of the OG filmmakers. He discovered the substitution edit by accident when he was shooting a street scene and his camera stopped working. He watched the footage later and saw a bus turn into a hearse. By stopping the camera and having people enter or leave, he could make them appear or disappear. In his film A Nightmare, he uses this technique to great effect. Méliès is actually playing the man who can't sleep. We learn he is afraid of black people, clowns, and flesh-eating moons. Nightmares. A Nightmare on Elm Street is actually based on real events. I know you're like, bullshit, but it's bull true. Director Wes Craven based it on a series of LA Times articles that reported young Southeast Asian refugees were crying out in their sleep and then dying. In the 80s, 117 people died this way, making one of the top 5 causes of death in the Asian community. In the Philippines, it was called Banganga. In Japan, Pukuri. Both translate to nightmare death. One medical examiner said, "They didn't die of getting shot in the head, stabbed in the heart. They didn't fall off the roof. They didn't get poisoned. Because we did an autopsy in each case and we got a big 0. Family members would find their children breathing abnormally and wake them up fearing the nightmare death, only to have them die hours or months later in their sleep. Eventually, after Freddy had several sequels, they determined it was an inherited mutation in the Asian community that disrupts their heart's normal rhythm. Nightmares. And that's all there is to know about nightmares.
It was only a dream.
Mark, is that you?
Yes?
Take out the garbage.